Welcome to the Sport Exchange with me, John Robbie. Hi guys, welcome to the Sport Exchange podcast where we meet sporting personalities and learn about their lives and their life stories. Today on the Sport Exchange podcast, we meet perhaps the greatest exponent of his craft in the world. He's not an express bowler, but he's a wicket-taker extreme and an inspiration to young kids everywhere. Welcome, Vernon Philander. Vernon, thanks for coming in. Nice talking to you.
Afternoon, yeah. Thanks for having me.
Can I start off? Sean Pollock calls you Vernon Philander, and everyone else calls you Philander. How do you pronounce your name?
You know what, I'm actually not too phased about it, because I've also been called Philander before. So, Philander, yeah.
What do your family call yourself?
Oh, Philander. So,
Philander, okay. Tell Sean
that's
Pollock.
That's the pronunciation behind it.
Where are you at the moment? I mean, it's so confusing following cricket at the moment because there's so much going on. Now we've got the Mzansi League that's come through. You're part of the Durban franchise, etc. Where are you in terms of career, in terms of fitness, in terms of your cricketing head at the moment?
Yeah, so I just recovered from an ankle injury that I've picked up probably over the years of playing. Literally just got back probably the last 3.5, 4 weeks, back onto the park. Body's holding up nicely. Fitness is going quite nicely as well.
You look very fit, I must say. You lost a bit of weight, eh?
Yeah, I have. You've got to make sure that the ankle lasts another 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, in saying that, I think, everything's been going well this far. Obviously, partaking in the Mzansi League, like you mentioned, playing for the Durban Heat, a little bit away from home. So really excited about, the upcoming series as well. Pakistan coming up, obviously, next month, and then after that, Sri Lanka. But yeah, I think it's a wonderful year ahead for us as a national team. You've got a World Cup a bit later on next year, so lots to look forward to. And yeah, hopefully the body keeps up, and take a lot more wickets for South Africa.
How old are you now?
I'm a wonderful young 33.
33. I mean, in years gone by, you would look at perhaps retirement, but people used to retire partly because they had to then look at another career after cricket. I think cricket is going to go on a little bit longer now. You say another 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, probably 4 if I'm realistic. Look, I think, the way the guy's been managed these days, does give you the option of playing a little bit longer than back in the day. In saying that, we also have one eye on, obviously what you're going to do after cricket. So, yeah, you try and line a few things up for yourself, moving into that space. And obviously, with me just having my first child a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thanks a lot. It does, give you an eye opener as to, the other side of life as well. So, all in all, we're in a good state. Like I said, probably 4 more years.
Why are you so good?
I don't know.
I'm serious. You're not very fast. There doesn't seem to be anything incredible about you, and yet your record and the way some of the greats in cricket speak about you is extraordinary. If you're so good, why are other people not as good as you? Do you understand where I'm coming from? Why do you think you've done so well?
Look, I think from a very young age, I looked at guys, bowling. I looked at Glenn McGrath, I looked at Polly. Those are 2 of the guys that always stood out for me because they weren't really quick bowlers, but they were guys that always put batters under pressure. And I molded my game around those 2 guys. And one thing that stood out for me was the simplicity, how simple they keep it. And then second of all, you work out little skills for yourself. You can coach people as much as you want, but unless you've got the skill set and the confidence of going executing it, it doesn't really obviously help you. So for me, it was really from that young age to get that skill set, number one, and then being comfortable to produce when the time is right. And
all right, well, let's go deeper into that skill set. What is the skill set?
Well, for me, the skill set number one is consistency. I think the hardest thing in life is to be consistent. In whatever form of life we're talking about. So for me, it was that line and length. How consistent can I hit it? And I worked with a guy called Richard Pybers, and he came from the Titans down to Western Province or Cape Cobras as we are now. And he said to me, look, I'm going to put a little chart down for you and I want to see how many times you can hit it. And I think out of the 6 balls, I probably hit it 5 times. And he just went, geez, that's amazing. Why you're not playing for South Africa? And I think, ever since that season, I obviously got picked for South Africa. And yeah, like I said, it's just to be as consistent as possible.
But you were something of a prodigy as well, weren't you? In I mean, you come from a how shall I say, a modest background, if I can put it that way. You didn't come up through a rich background, fancy schools and coaching and so on, and yet you were almost a prodigy at a young age. Where did it all stem from? Then was there a moment where you suddenly said, cricket is for me?
No, I wouldn't even say that. I think I just enjoyed sport in general. I mean, I played rugby, I played cricket, I played soccer.
Were you good at the other sports?
Yeah, I was relatively good at it as well. But like I said, for me, I got to high school, and I mean, cricket slowly but surely started to take over, and I really started to enjoy it. I played senior cricket from a very young age.
14, I think, didn't 13, you? Yeah.
14, yeah. I mean, ever since, to be quite honest with you, when I started playing junior cricket, I didn't even know what Western Province were, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I was just there to enjoy myself, to have fun. And I mean, all of those things really paid off, later down the line. I mean, putting in the hours, and it was all, just enjoying myself. It was never really with the end focus of playing for South Africa one day. It was never, I never really had an eye on, I want to be playing for Western Province or South Africa one day. To me, it was about enjoying that moment which I partake in, and
But why cricket, not soccer? I mean, you think of Benny McCarthy, you think of the guys Mark Williams who've come through, they've travelled the world, made huge amounts of money, etc. If you were good at all three sports, I would have thought soccer would have been the one.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really actually looked at that either. I mean, to me it was, like I said, just enjoying what I was doing. I mean, I enjoyed being on the cricket field, on the rugby field, on the soccer field. And like I said, probably halfway through my high school career, cricket just, was the one that stood out for me. And it was never really a money thing either. It was, just what I enjoyed most. And yeah, I mean, from there I took it obviously into, playing for Western Province, all the junior levels, and then into the Western Province amateur team. And I mean, there also came a time in my Western Province, I think, amateur team, when I just started playing there, where I was thinking, what am I actually going to do here? Am I going to go and study further?
But this is what we want to explore. Yeah. So you suddenly thought, I'm good. Yeah. But now I've got a decision to make. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a tough one, because I mean, I was ready to go study as well. I mean, to get
what were you going to study?
I was looking at chartered accountancy, to get something behind my name, first of all. And then that very same year, I got selected for the Western Province side, which the senior side. Then at the end of that year, I got a phone call by Arthur Third and said, listen, we're going to offer you a contract. And I mean, then life, started to become a little bit interesting. So, I mean, because I had to make a choice. It was either I was going to study full time, or I was going to play cricket.
What did your mum say? Because I know she's had an amazing influence on your life.
She was backing
Bonnie,
me.
Isn't it?
Yeah, Bonnie. Yeah. She was backing me throughout. She said, look, whatever decision you're going to take, I'm there to support you. It's completely your decision. And it was tough for me, because I mean, I really would have loved to study a little bit as well. But unfortunately, fortunately for me now, looking back at things, so I said to her, look, okay, I'm going to give it a year or two. See how the cricket plans out. If it doesn't work out, I can always come back and study again. But I don't think I'm going to get another opportunity like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I walked into that environment, with that great players around you. And I mean, again, having done what I've done to simply enjoy my sport, I mean, obviously, you walk into this changing room, wow, you've got all these greats, sitting.
Who was there? Give us some of the names.
When I walked in there, it was Graham, it was Cullis.
Herschel,
Boucher, Herschel, Ashwell.
Yeah.
I mean, so it was a mean machine. I mean, Dawson, Willoughby. Yeah. So those were the guys.
How did they treat you? This kid who'd sort of come from nowhere.
To be quite honest with you,
who wasn't very quick.
Nah. To be quite honest with you, I mean, I was actually quite welcome.
Yeah.
And I mean, the guys are great. I mean, obviously, when you play provincial level, it's a bit different to the national side. But the guys opened, welcomed me with open arms. And I mean, it was good to actually chat to guys like Ashwell and these guys, that comes from similar sort of backgrounds as to what I came from. But again, in saying that, I mean, I got there based on obviously my performances, and also the mere fact that I was enjoying what I was doing. And
is there a lesson there then? I mean, if you're talking to kids, because you think of a lot of kids who are very, very good at sport, and whether it's their parents, whether it's the glamour and the money, whatever, I come across quite a few professional sportsmen who are not very happy. You know, is there a lesson there that says, unless you absolutely enjoy it? John Bland, the golfer, said when he's not playing professional golf, he plays golf with his mates because that's what he enjoys. He enjoys playing golf.
Yeah, look, I mean, I've done a chat a couple of weeks ago at a school conference, and you know, the thing that really stood out for me in my school career and also going through, you know, the first part of my cricket career was, like I said earlier, I enjoyed what I was doing, and I feel, because I've also played junior level cricket, you know, and I feel a lot of parents live their lives through their children, which is wrong, you know what I mean? And that's where you really take out the enjoyment factor. So you basically force your child to play cricket, and you'll buy him the best kit ever, or you buy him the best equipment, you know, and that to me is wrong, because you should have a choice as to what you want to do. And I mean, that's where I think, you know, people get it wrong.
And then he doesn't want to let his parents down, and they've spent all this money, so maybe he grinds away.
Yeah, and now you get to later down in life, and you actually find out that you've wasted 3, 4, 5 years of your life doing something that you don't really like, but you did it because of the sake of your parents, you know what I mean? And I always encourage children to play and partake in anything, you know, sport, academics, you know, be active outdoors, because you'll find something that you're going to like. Yeah. And that's the thing that you'll have to take away. And I mean, similar to me, I mean, yes, I enjoy my batting, I enjoy my bowling, but there came a time where I was like, geez, you know, I actually enjoy this bowling, this bowling story. And for the mere fact that I could get people out, and, you know, people better hate it. You can ask any sort of batter. I mean, I can throw quick oaks in there, and I mean, you can bowl you a bump or two. But the worst fear for any batter is getting out, and you know, and I sort of, you know, this is fun. You know what I mean? Getting oaks out, you know, and giving.
What's the best wicket you've ever got? Looking at all your wickets, test wickets. I talk test cricket. What's the one you think back on and say that is my favourite?
For me, any Australian, eh? As long as you can send those oaks backing, it's happy days. Yeah, look, I mean, this is a very arrogant nation. But yeah, we love it. I mean, it's good fun, you know. Yeah, they're competitive.
What do you feel looking at them now, where they're tearing themselves apart? I mean, even today, now I see Michael Clarke is up in arms because some ex-players have said he's responsible for them going over the line, and so on and so on. I mean, they seem to be in a really, really bad phase. Do you look upon that with a sense of gloating, a sense of pleasure?
No, absolutely not. I actually feel for them, to be quite honest with you, because I mean, we're all sportsmen at the end of the day. You know, you're gonna cross the line maybe once or twice in your career, and I mean, you wouldn't want that to be the end result of it.
Because you were called as well, weren't you?
Yeah, in saying that, I mean, there is a fine line, you know, and I mean, to take foreign objects on the field, you know, I mean, there's a lot of people that, you know, look up to us, you know, I mean, yeah, we've got to take that responsibility as well. So it doesn't just stop with us. I mean, it stops with, you know, youngsters coming through, kids playing at school level. And unfortunately, you know, you've got to take the flak for it. I mean, I got found once, you know, trying to take sand out of the ball, and so, well.
Talk us through that. Explain that again. That was Sri Lanka, was it?
Yeah, was Sri Lanka? Yeah, it was in Sri Lanka. Yeah. And so Faf threw me the ball, and there was mud pieces on the ball, and I actually spoke to the umpire before it, and I said to him, look, I'm going to clean it. But it was naughty camera work. So, you know, they've got it once or twice, you know, where I actually took out the sand out of the grooves, and I got called in after the match and said, listen, we're gonna, you know, obviously fine you with, you know.
What did they say you were doing? Using the sand?
No, he just said, well, it looked like I was picking the ball.
I see. Yeah.
So it wasn't really a bad offense, but yeah.
So you were totally innocent.
Well, I took out the sand, obviously, you know, which he then said, well, you're not allowed to do it. But I said to him, I asked the ump, and he gave me permission. And it was a this way, that way, this way, that way. And I said,
because I'm fascinated the line between what is acceptable. Because, you know, I think it was somebody said all bowlers cheat to an extent. But there's a one that is almost acceptable, and then obviously the foreign objects, etc. Yeah. Where do you feel about it now, going on to play with such an emphasis now on this issue? I mean, what are your thought process in terms of what's acceptable, what's not?
I think for me, the ICC need to be a lot more firm on this, you know, and they need to make a rule and say, listen, you know, you're either allowed to have chewing gum sweets in your mouth or you're not. You're either allowed to use your fingers to clean the ball or not.
Because the sugar can harden on the ball and affect it, isn't that right?
The sugar in the saliva obviously, sweetens it up, signs it, and the ball will swing a little bit, obviously. So they need to be a lot more firm on it. As far as I'm concerned, the reverse swing is a part of the game. And I mean, it would be a sin to kill it.
Well, otherwise everyone would be scoring 200s. It'd be ridiculous.
How people go about it, that's the debatable question. Are you going to allow people to use their fingernails or whatever it is, or foreign objects? Which we all clearly know it's not. It's obviously not allowed. But like I said, the ICC needs to be a lot more firm on that, and they need to clamp down on obviously, or impose a lot more harsher sentences for Oaks that's obviously going to do it. You know? And I think once you impose those sort of things, will the line then become a lot more clearer for people not to?
What about the sledging side of things? I mean, we know with Quinton and David Warner and so on. That got crazy. I'd say you'd be a pretty good sledger, given your background and given the humour that comes from your community traditionally. Did you enjoy sledging?
Yeah, I love it. Look, I mean, I think sledging is all about whether you take it personally or not. So I mean, if people do take it personally, which means you're allowed to get under their skin, and that's what sledging really is about. And in saying that, over the last sort of while, things became a lot personal. You know what I mean? It didn't just end up with being a sledge. It became really personal, and I think that's where people also crossed the line. And I mean, the Aussies have been doing it for years. Did they ever upset you? What were they attacking? Would they have attacked you on your race, on your colour, on? What would they have targeted you on? Nah, you know what, they're just being silly at times, so they'll call you a fat bastard or whatever, they really just want to irritate you, and I mean, they'll throw little comments around, amongst them, obviously not making it too direct at you, but you can hear it, you obviously hear it. So I mean, but like I said, it's either you can handle it or you can't handle it.
Do you talk back?
No, I mean, I'll get my chance to give it back to them. You know what I mean? And I mean, the best way to respond there is basically just to take them on with the ball or with the bat. And they absolutely hate it because they're a sort of team. They'll come. I call them a bunch of high school bullies. So they'll come and they'll give you everything for the first sort of half an hour. And if you don't fight back, they'll walk over you. But if you show a little bit of resistance or a little bit of fight, they back off. And I think that's why we were so successful against them, because we never stood back. When we go, I mean, we've been down there 3 times now and we've beaten them on their home soil 3 test series in a row. I mean, no other team has ever done it. So it's about allowing them to do what they want, but also to remember that, hey, I need to fight, you know what I mean? And
what's it like the first time you experienced?
It doesn't always mean that you've got to give it back to them verbally, you know what I mean? Look, the first time was, I mean, it was strange because, you're an international level and you've got these Oaks. I mean, obviously they've been, good cricketers over the years, and I mean, you've got these Oaks that you've looked up to and now play against. And then all of a sudden, these Oaks starts chirping you as well on top of it.
You lose respect, eh?
You do. You do.
Anyone in particular lost your respect?
Michael Clark. We played a test match at Newlands and the game was getting quite hot at the back end there. I think myself and Dale was batting and we needed to face another 5 or 6 overs. And he actually asked one of the guys to bowl me a beamer. And he bowled me a full toss, but he hit me in the rip, And Dale lost it, and Dale just said, it's obviously nonsense, guys, we're all professional sportsmen. And then Clark, you just tell him to piss off, so that got quite heated up. And I mean, I just said, guys, I mean, there's no need for this. And then Mitchell Johnson bowled me a bouncer straight after that. Oof. And the ball clipped my glove, but my hand was off the bat, so it's obviously deemed not out. And Michael Clark had to go at the umpire. And then Dale just told him, listen, this is not on. We're all professional sportsmen. If you had anything, sort it out afterwards, but the decision is not out. You can't ever go at the on-field umpire. And he basically told Dale to piss off, and that became a whole heated, little thing.
So do you think he was responsible then for the Australians crossing the line? Because at the moment he's denying it. One of the Australians said he was the one who actually set the tone. Is that? Would you comment on that?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, it's a way of play for them. You know what I mean? So to pinpoint one individually, it's going to be wrong. I mean, it's obviously a style of play that I've been having for a couple of years, and it's worked for them. So yeah, I mean, to pinpoint one individually, I think it's going to be wrong. I mean, it's just that, you know, it's been coming for a while.
But when you get to a stage where you're not having a beer with the guys afterwards, that's sad, isn't it?
Absolutely. So I mean, I'm all for give it your all out in the park. You know, have fun, go down. I mean. If it goes down to the wire, you know, and you need to, you know, use a bit of bravado, use it. But at the end of the day, it's a game. Someone's going to win, someone's going to lose. Have a beer. I mean, we all, you know, human beings at the end of the day. And I mean, make mates. I mean, you know, life is short. At
the moment, how is the relationship between South Africa and Australia?
Yeah, I mean, we still have a drink with the guys after the series. I mean, that hasn't changed. Even, you know, when we played against them when they were going on like that, we still had a drink with them. You know, so yeah, from that point of view, I mean, we're only human at the end of the day, so really just to
tell us about. I mean, the Cape Flats is almost synonymous now with gangsterism, social problems, drugs, gangs. We all know about that. And I know that you've been involved in a documentary to try and become a role model and present another way. How tough is life in the Cape Flats? And your experiences? I mean, you kept on the straight and narrow. Could you have gone the other way?
Absolutely. Look, there's only two ways, you know, when you come from the Cape Flats. It's either you're going to join those guys, or, you know, you're going to try and find a different way of life. For me personally, I mean, going back into those sort of communities, it is actually just getting worse by the year, you know, which is quite sad. I mean, you know, we'd have thought that, you know, by now in a democratic country, we would have had, you know, opportunity, we'd have created, you know, some skills for those guys to actually, you know, upskill themselves and find a different way of life. But in saying that, I mean, you can imagine to yourself, you know, if you put a couple of families in one home and there's no one working. Yeah. The only way out is either gangsterism, or he's going to go and, you know, mug someone, you know, to make a living.
Crime,
or upkeep. And I mean, my view and vision for my foundation, I mean, you probably saw the documentary.
Yes.
Was to create opportunity, because I mean, you can give people as much, you know, skills as you want. If there's no opportunity, there's still no jobs, there's still no income. And, you know, that's my focus, probably, you know, beyond cricket, you know, to go back into those communities and really, you know, and saying motivate. I mean, motivate is also, you know, almost not good enough anymore. You know, people live by what they see. And that for us is to create opportunity, number one, you know. And
how do you do that?
It's difficult because, you know, you really have to get, you know, your big corporates on board, you know, and they need to come on board and say, listen, you know, we'll give you an opportunity, or we'll create opportunity for however many. And look, you're not going to be able to change the entire Cape Flats.
Sure.
But if you can change a couple of lives, you know, which will then become role models for the next bets coming through. And that's really the focus, you know, it's to take 5 at a time or 10 at a time, and really to give them an opportunity and ask them, you know, once you've got an opportunity and step into a job, to go back into those schools and all those communities and make a difference in someone else's life.
And what are the kids, when you're talking about this, do you see them bored? Do you see them looking up at a famous cricketer, or do you see them, you know, getting it?
You know what? Every time I go back there, you've got the sense that, you know, they are so excited about seeing, you know, obviously someone that's, you know, made it and coming from the, you know, similar area, but they're also looking at you, obviously knowing their own surroundings, you know, and obviously knowing what their parents are facing and their own families are facing. It's almost I almost get the feeling it's insecurity, and also, you know, where am I going to go one day? You know, you guys are all talking about, you know, go out and be the best that you can be, but is there really an opportunity for me out there? And I think that's something that we need to drive a lot harder, you know, in people's minds, and especially young kids.
Well, of course, it needs leadership, and the problem is that the country has been on hold with a corrupt government for 10 years. We know that, and I suppose we live in hope that things are going to improve from now on in.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, we can just go out and, you know, like I said, try and create opportunity. You know, that's what life is.
Does it put pressure on you as a role model, as somebody from that background? I mean, I've spoken the same thing with some of the soccer players, you know. Does that put pressure on you, because in a way you're under a microscope, aren't you?
It doesn't put pressure on me. I mean, I put pressure on myself to be able to, afford someone an opportunity in life. And I mean, I was fortunate enough, obviously, to also start my own construction company. So I go out there.
Is that still going?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
We've literally just started it. So
yeah.
So I've literally gone and I've taken guys from those communities, and so all my contractors would be from that communities, you know what I mean? So it's basically giving Oaks a chance. And also, because we're busy with quite a few projects, I'm then able to even create more jobs. So, you get the electrician and I'll say, listen, get 2 more Oaks from Ravensmead, and he'll bring 2 along. And in that way, you get a domino effect, so you get to put the bread on someone's table. And that to me it's much more important than, going out to a school field. Or
what do you build? Do you build houses? Do you build big, small? What do you do?
So we're into houses now. We've literally just started, so we were fortunate that, we got a couple of plots in a development.
Yeah.
And we're going to start building, and we're also going to start building for, obviously for other people as well. So how
do people get in touch with you? If people want to get in touch with you, it's only in the Cape Town area, obviously.
Yeah, so it's in the Stellenbosch area.
Yeah,
and obviously that's quite a lucrative market.
Yeah,
and it's affordable housing as well.
Yeah.
So we've like I said, we've literally just started. We've literally just started.
Do you have a name? Do you have a website?
So we don't have a website yet.
Yeah.
But the property company that I'm linked with is Prime Grow Properties.
Prime Grow Properties.
Yeah. So I'm linked with them, and then my company's VDP projects.
Right.
That will be up and running as of 1 Jan.
Fantastic.
But it's all lawns and everything, so we just...
All right. Well, we'll definitely stick that up and details on it and punt that side of things. Somebody said that you were the longest... You had to wait longer than anyone else to be an overnight sensation. Because I'd forgotten you played against Ireland way, way back in an ODI, didn't you?
Yeah. Funny enough, I actually made my ODI debut on my 21st birthday against Ireland. Yeah.
Was that in Belfast?
That was way back in Belfast, yeah.
What are your memories?
I can't remember, actually. I was just all in awe. I mean, I was obviously 21, I was young, just wanted to play. And, I got this opportunity to play for South Africa. I can remember my clothes were still way too big for me. But I mean, I was excited, obviously, and it went well. I mean, I think I took 4 for 12 on my debut, and it went really well. And then I got a bit of a hurdle or a bit of a speed bump, playing against England. I think the year after that, I lost my spot, and then
how did you feel about that? Did you think, that's it, I had my moment in the sun and now I've lost it? Or did you always retain that desire?
No, I think, that's when the hunger really started kicking in.
You want to get back.
Yeah, I got back feeling a little bit empty, I suppose. Also, at the time, I didn't quite know where I was fitting in. There was no real straight talk or, plan for me set aside and, okay, Vern, this is where we see you and this is what we want from you.
Did you have a mentor? Did you have someone you could go to?
Yeah, I mean, I had a guy that, that I could speak to, ever since my junior days, Johannes Adams. He was a Tiger Cricket Club. And I mean, I got back, and also Sadiq Nakadin, the coach at Western Province, or the assistant coach. And I said to him, look, I don't feel out of touch. I don't feel like anything's going wrong. I just don't feel that there was a plan for me, and I don't feel that was communicated properly to me either, because no one really said to me, you're going to be open to bowling, or you're going to take the ball first change and you're going to bat at whatever position. So that for me was very unclear, and I mean, I went back and I was like, geez, how do I explain this to myself? And I mean, that to me was the most important thing. I mean, you've got to live with yourself for the rest of your life. And,
of course.
And trying to understand, where I fitted in was the hardest part for me over the following probably 4 or 5 years. But it also allowed me the opportunity to go and, find myself, so to speak, and also to find a game plan that's going to work for me and also obviously for the team at the end of the day, and to find it, the consistency that I spoke to you about earlier. And that to me, I mean, I think it took me 5 years to get back into the side. And
did you ever lose hope?
There was a time where I was, going to give up. Well, not give up, but I was going to probably try and play overseas or something, But then Gary came along after five years of proper cricket, and that to me, it really...
Because he knew you from the past, didn't he? He knew you from way back,
I played with Gary as well, so, I mean, But I think that 5 years really gave me a platform that I could, number one, create the skill that's going to work for me. Also to find out plan A, plan B, and maybe a go-to plan C, emergency plan.
So in hindsight, it was actually a benefit.
It was a good thing for me.
You had to serve your time in a way, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think I'd encourage it, for young players coming through to actually, take a bit of time.
Yeah.
Go out, and play at a level that's, there's not so much pressure on you, but also you get to find yourself and understand your game. Because at international level, I mean, you're in the public eye all the time. You're going to be criticized around every corner. I mean, whether you're doing well or bad, you're going to get
Does
criticized.
that hurt?
It hurts in a sense where if you failed yourself.
Yeah.
And that to me
in other words, if the criticism, if it's justified.
Yeah, if it's justified. But I think the thing that you take away, so I mean, there are days where you bowl beautifully and you don't pick up wickets and people will criticize you.
Yeah.
But you go away knowing, you know what, I've actually done well. And you can live with yourself. But I think when you go away from it and you know yourself deep down, hey, I haven't prepared as well as I could have. I haven't delivered, what I should have. And now you get criticized. That's obviously, that hurts because, you haven't done the work. And I mean, and that to me, you haven't justified your own potential by not obviously, preparing the way you should.
Yeah.
And I think, there are different ways of looking at it. To me, I mean, if I prepared well and I go for runs, I put up my hand and say, you know what, a better player won on the day.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's just to find that sense of belonging, number one, and also that you've proven to be there. So I mean, I've gone back over 5 years and I've basically proved, that.
I think so. Yes,
that I should be there.
What is it like? Because now you've got. It's more than a reputation. There's almost what's the word I'm looking for? When the wicket and the conditions suit you, and you're in control, people are terrified of you. I mean, whether it's the Australians or what is it like knowing you've got that power?
I think
it must be amazing.
Well, it does put a hell of a lot of responsibility on you as well, because it's almost when you face those sort of conditions, people look up to you to run through them or to really, knock them over. But I think for me, something that I've really kept simple was I stick to what I know.
Yeah.
And I mean, yes, people will fear you, if you can control your skill. And because you're so good at controlling your skill, that's why people fear you. And like I said, people don't fear getting hit. People fear, getting out. And it's any batsman's worst nightmare getting out.
Yeah.
So if you knock him over in the first innings, he's got to go back and, make some adjustments, whether it's mentally or technically. And then you're winning. So for me, it was always, when those conditions arise, I'm like, okay, cool. You know what? This is my day.
Yeah.
And you make sure.
Do you know that from the first ball?
You just make sure that you're up for it.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. I mean, if you're up for it, everything else will take care of itself.
Fantastic. Life must be pretty good for you at the moment. You've got a new kid now. Tell us about that.
Yeah, very exciting, eh? In actual fact, I was home. When was it? 2 weeks ago, and I was meant to come up for this Durban Heat thing, and I said, guys, I'm not going to be able to make it first week. I've got a little one.
What's your boy or girl?
Boy Hayden. Very
fantastic.
exciting.
Matthew Hayden?
No.
No, I don't
nothing
think so.
to do with that.
Yeah.
Giving me some sleepless nights, but hey, it's eye opener, when a little one was born. I always said I'm never changing a nappy, and
we all said that.
And then once it's yours, I mean, it just gives you a new perspective on life, and it's just wonderful, man.
Fantastic. Well, listen, it's been fabulous talking to you. Thank you. Congratulations on everything you've done, and I know we're going to hear a lot more from you going forward. Vernon Philander, thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot, man. You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Vernon Philander, what an incredible story. What a cricketer and what a man. Thanks as usual to Slow in the City for hosting us. Follow us on social media or subscribe via your favorite podcast app for updates. See you next time on the Sport Exchange podcast. Cheers from John Robbie.